The operations plan. First, a side note, if you're a home-based business, you still have an operations plan. And I'll try to throw in home-based concepts as far as operations go. But overall, the operations plan is going to describe two sides of your business. What I call the front end, which means when a customer comes to you, how do you walk them through the entire process of identifying your products, purchasing your products, and leaving happily with your products. And then there's the back end. How are you going to bring raw goods or supplies, inventory into the business and get it shipped, get it delivered, hand it to the customer. So we're going to describe all of this in some detail and hopefully even get some drawings. So the first thing, facility and location description. What you want to do is give a very brief description. Now you see a pattern here, how the first paragraph is just a brief description. That's because as people flip through, as they're going to look at it, they just want to know, okay, facility and location description, what kind of facility is this? So you want to mention if you're a retail, commercial, industrial, home-based. You want to describe where it is, why it is in that location, and give a brief description of the floor plan layout, the interior design, the key design elements. You know, for example, if you're a high-end dentist outfit and you want it to have a spa-like atmosphere, then describe that. Say, you know, we're here to make people feel comfortable so it feels like a spa and not a clinic. You know, that's the kind of thing you want to put in the description right here. And as you can see, if you're home-based, describe how you're going to conduct meetings. So if you have to do face-to-face with people, are you going to conduct that? Are you going to have a virtual office somewhere? Are you going to rent some space on a temporary basis? How are you going to conduct business if you are home-based? The operational flow, what you want to do here is talk about the key areas of the business. Now we talked about the front end and the back end. Now what you want to do is break it down into different areas. So you see we have area 1, 2, 3. So you might say, okay, a reception area, a demo room, a place for them to pick out the different products, the cash registers, a lounge, you know, whatever you have as far as these different areas. Some of the areas in the back room would be storage, production, shipping and receiving. You have administrative areas, you have restrooms, you have meeting rooms. So every room that you're going to have in this place, or at least every major area, go ahead and give a brief description of it. And what you want to do is describe how it's connected to other areas, how large it is in square footage, and a brief description of who's going to be in that area, how are they going to have desks, how are they going to work. So this is just a paragraph on each area that describes how large it is and what the function is and how it fits within the operational flow of the rest of the business. The organization and management plan. Now this is a very important section because you want to describe the structure of your business, right? So you want to describe how many employees you're going to need, and then you want to list them. Title, the name of the person if you have it. If you don't have it, you can just say to be determined, and the qualifications of these people, because the investors and the bankers are going to want to know who are you going to be going out to get to be a part of this company, who's going to be a member of it. Now I also recommend right in here is putting your organizational charts. And these are something you see in every business plan. But my recommendation, what I've seen people ask for, is 3 different charts. Number 1, startup. When you start the business, who has to be a part of the business before you can get going? And maybe it's just you, or maybe it's you and an operations manager. Maybe it's you and an administrative assistant. Whatever it is, write out the organizational chart for startup. Then pick a time somewhere between the end of year 1 and the beginning of year 2, so just 1 year. You can say at the end of year 1, or you can say at the beginning of year 2, or at the end of year 2. Say, what's the organizational chart going to look like then? So take the one you did for startup, copy it, and then start adding people to it. Say, okay, by the end of year 2, we are going to need a couple of salespeople. We're going to need another administrative assistant, maybe a warehouse person. Whatever it is, fill it in. Then the final one is end of year 5, because in your financials you're going to go through and do a 5-year plan. We're not going to do a whole lot of detail for years 3, 4, and 5, but at the end of that you are going to have year 5. So what you want to do is have an organizational chart that matches year 5. So if year 5 you've ballooned up to $10 million in sales, you have a sales force, you have a regional office, you have different places around, you want to have an organizational chart that describes how that business is operated and how it's run. If you're going to have a board of directors, if you're a corporation, you're going to have a board of directors. If you're a limited liability corporation or company, then you're going to have more like a board of advisors. If you're a sole proprietor or a partnership, I still recommend putting together a team of people, and maybe you call them the board of advisors or board of directors, whatever you want to call them. But if you're looking for specific people to serve on the board, then you can list that right in here and say, well, first of all, the owner is the CEO and president and chairman of the board. We have another person we've already brought in who's a member of the board. But maybe the third, fourth, and fifth members you describe as, here's who we're looking for. We're looking for a marketing person. We're looking for a graphic designer person. We're looking for an operations person. So you can list in here who your board members are going to be. Okay, quality control. This is kind of a generic listing here, but what you want to discuss are a couple key things. Mainly, how are you going to ensure that your product maintains its quality throughout the entire process? And the way you do that is to standardize things and have checklists and conduct training. So these are the things you want to put in here. So checklists, you have operations checklists, like how to build a hamburger. First you have the bun, then you have the patty, then you have the cheese, then you have the top bun. However it is, you have a checklist for how are you going to handle all the different parts of your business. If you can create these checklists now and put them in the appendices, that would be perfect. You also have checklists for training. So what are you going to do when you bring in a new employee? You have an induction checklist. We need to get a copy of their driver's license. They need to fill out the I-9 form, the W-2 form, and they need to fill out all these things. There's a checklist. Then when you put them out on the line to build that hamburger, you need to say, okay, we need to teach this person how to build a hamburger, how to fry the French fries, how to make the coffee. So you have a checklist for everything to ensure that everybody in your operation knows how to do the things that you do. The standard operating procedures are things like the employee handbook. Your employees need to know, do they get sick pay? Do they get personal days off? Do they get vacations? Do they have a retirement plan? You want to have an employee handbook, and there's some great software out there that can just walk you through that entire process, but you want to have that in place. The business plan, this thing here is something you want to have on site and use it. And something else that I might add in here is we talked about the checklists, and what you might want to do is group those checklists into different job descriptions and have a book for each job description. So when somebody comes in, they can pull the book out and know exactly how to do their job. That is quality control. The next is insurance. And what you want to do is just talk to your insurance person, whomever it is. I know Hartford tends to do most of the business insurance out there. Talk to them and tell them what your company is all about, and they will basically tell you what they recommend, and just ask them to get you a quote and to email it or to fax it over, and then you can put the key coverages right in here and put a copy of that quote in the appendix. Now the action plan, what you're going to do is just spell out how are you going to get this business started, right? Starting with completing the business plan, securing your funding, filing your state and local papers, building your facility, ordering your inventory, launching a PR effort to make the announcement, having ribbon cuttings, grand openings, all of this. Think about every little step, and it's just a matter of sitting down and envisioning from where are you right now as you're listening to this, and how are you going to get this thing started so that your first customer walks through the door, and think about everything that has to get done. Not every little detail, not like I need to put a chair over in the corner, but I need to order my furniture and equipment. I need to decorate the place. I need to contact suppliers. Whatever you need for your action plan to get started, put it in here. The exit plan. I normally say every business needs an exit plan, and it's usually I'm going to sell the business, I'm going to put a manager in to run the business, or I'm just going to make enough money so that I can retire, and then when it's done, I'm just going to close it down. Those are the long term. I tend to like to put in a phase, because right now if you're writing a business plan, if you're a startup, chances are that you are a startup. If you're not, then think about long term. But if you're just starting and looking for funding, what you want to think about is how are you going to exit this startup phase? What's the next phase after startup? Is it a second, third, or fourth location? Is it moving the business online? Is it bringing on new products, expanding in some way? Are you going to acquire somebody in your supply chain? Whatever your next step is, that's kind of your exit plan. So, just say, at the end of year 3, we will have gotten our first location up and profitable, and at that point, we're going to move into a second location in another city or the same city. Just kind of give them an idea of what you're going to do. And then at the very end, you can put something in like, we're going to sell this business or we're going to pass it on to our kids. Whatever the ultimate exit plan is, you can put that in there. And the next section is strategic analysis.